Coming up this month on Roanoke County Today, we celebrate the 25th anniversary of the County Police Department and the expansion of fire services in Benton. Stay tuned for more.
Welcome back to the show. Joining me today is Chris Lawrence, Town Manager in Benton. Chris, welcome to our show.
You.
Glad to have you here today. We are going to be talking about some exciting things going on in Benton. Right now, it's what's happening at the Benton Fire Station. So tell us about some of the renovations and expansions that's happening here.
Love to. We are excited to announce today that we are ready in partnership with Roanoke County to enhance our fire services to include 24-hour fire staff with career employees. Right now we have a mix of volunteers and career staff, and we would now include 24 hours with our career staff. What that does is provide just a higher level of fire coverage and fire services both to Benton and to East Roanoke County. We also end up backing up Reed Mountain areas and Mount Pleasant areas, and then also assist with Roanoke City. We also, to accommodate that, we had to hire 7 new employees. So the county hired 5 and the town hired 2 new employees. And it's a jointly run station. And to accommodate all those people, we needed to renovate the building. So we just completed about a $350,000 renovation to include bunk rooms for up to 10, new kitchen, new bathrooms, locker rooms, day room, which is their area for TV and just relaxing for a little bit. All of this too is important that we work in tandem with our volunteers. So we also needed to make sure they had adequate and good space. So their bunk rooms and their kitchen and they have an apartment were all renovated so that they also had space to use when they spend the night at the station.
How many volunteers do you have at this station?
They probably have a crew of about 40, and probably about 20 of them are regular, volunteer, spend time and actually run calls.
Okay, and I imagine there are a lot of calls. As you said, they're not just here in Benton, but they're also supporting our neighbors in the city and Reed Mountain area as well.
They do.
So they stay busy. Do you know what the call volume is?
So we probably run just under 1,000 calls a year for fire. And then EMS, of course, runs a lot more, like 3,000 calls, and that's pretty typical. But fire calls are anything from a fire alarm to an accident to actual real fires that they have to respond to. Okay, so this is a very important fire program, and you mentioned too having that career staff in place is added security as well. Right. Yeah, it just gives an added level of our volunteers. We have a great partnership with them. They do a phenomenal job. The Benton Volunteer Fire Department's been around for 90 years. And we're very proud of that. But they also work, and they're general citizens and people that work in their offices and at the shops, and they can't always leave and come to the station. So this just adds basically an insurance policy to allow our career guys to get out when the volunteers aren't there at a much quicker pace. Volunteers tend to report and come to the station if they're not already spending the night there. So their response time is sometimes just a little bit more because they actually have to get to the station first, whereas career staff are already there at those times.
Okay, so this is really exciting for Benton. There's a lot that's going on. We want to talk briefly about the Benton Library Project. That's another big, exciting project that's been going on here in the town, revitalizing downtown Benton. How is that going?
Well, it's moving along. You're really starting to see all the finishing things coming in. Asphalt's coming, the curb and gutters being put in. Of course, the building is there and built and bricked, and we look forward to a fall kind of opening, maybe tied to some festivals and a lot of activities we have going on in the fall time of the year. But it's really one of the spark plugs for downtown Benton. We have a number of facades. We're going to completely renovate and expand our Benton Farmers Market stage, where we put on music and special events and festivals. We also have a business incubator that's about to open for upstart new entrepreneurs that need just that little bit of extra help to really get going and get through that first year. And then we continue to talk to people that want to locate in downtown and open up a new business.
Great. Lots of exciting things happening here in Benton. Thank you so much for joining us and giving us an update, and congratulations on the new renovations and enhancements here in the Benton Fire Station.
Well, thank you very much. We pride ourselves in Benton as working very close with our partners, and Roanoke County is very much a partner on fire and EMS services, as well as a lot of other things that we do for our citizens.
Good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay. We'll be right back.
Well, Touch a Truck, this is our 7th year, and it is by far my favorite event of the summer season. You know, this year, as a matter of fact, we're going to bring out, we hope, over 250 vehicles. And I say vehicles, but, you know, we're also going to have maybe an airplane or two and a boat here and there. So it's Touch a Truck, wheels, wings, and water. And, you know, kids can come out, and when I say kids, kids of all ages, you can get inside, you can touch all of the vehicles, you can honk their horns, plus you get to talk with the folks that actually operate these vehicles. And it's out in beautiful Roanoke County, Green Hill Park, on the last Saturday in July, July 25th, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's a free event, and it's so family focused, and it builds such fabulous memories for families. The grandparents love it because oftentimes not only do we have new vehicles, but we'll have old ones, you know, that folks are bringing out, and those are the things that the grandparents go, I remember seeing that one, but you don't really see them out anymore, you know, so they can experience all those kinds of things together. You know, and we have, you know, the police come out, we have fire and rescue that comes out, so you see some vehicles that are usually off limits. Oh no, you can't touch. You know, Red Cross comes out with their disaster vehicles. Then we have lots of fun, like a lot of the towing companies come out and they actually set up swings. And one of them sets up a small zip line, you know, on their vehicle. So they make all of the opportunities lots of fun. Plus, of course, we have food vendors. You know, so if you want to bring a picnic, you can, but we also have food vendors out there. We have ice cream, you know, out there for sale. I've got a magician coming out. You know, you can get into the cockpit of a jet fighter and have your picture taken. There's the fireman's foam and water spray, so there's all kinds of water activities. So there's other things going on, as well as looking at all of these amazing, almost 250 vehicles. It's a fun-filled day in all regards. You absolutely can make a day of it. You know, there's absolutely no reason you can't, and you will enjoy every moment of that day. It is a free event at Roanoke County, made possible by lots of fabulous sponsors. Walmart has come back again this year, and they are just a fabulous sponsor. We have Humana this year. We have Medico Security Locks coming out again as a sponsor. So, and of course, Roanoke County Parks, Rec, and Tourism. You know, we spend hours and hours calling companies, researching vehicles. So all of those, you know, companies combined make for a fabulous sponsorship for the event. We start on Friday. We start early Friday morning. We actually mark the field. We number it and letter it. So for instance, if you were coming out, you would know exactly where you were going. You would be in space A1, for instance. So we mark everything, we letter it. Folks start coming in on Friday, and then we finish up usually Friday evening, just about dusk. And then we start again at first light on Saturday morning and have everybody ready to go to entertain the public by about 9:30. So obviously with all of those vehicles, you have to have a very systematic way for getting them in and getting them placed. Oh yeah, we use volunteers, we have fabulous interns, the staff is fabulous. You know, even Roanoke County Parks, Rec, and Tourism, our staff is out there with our vehicles. You know, we spruce them up, we wash them, we make sure everything is clean. You know, and other departments within the county come out and support us with their vehicles and with their trucks. You know, All Tech is another one I failed to mention before. That's a real popular one with their bucket trucks. They come out and give rides in their bucket trucks. You know, it's such a fabulous day to see the folks that normally drive these vehicles, know how they operate. Also the big wheelers, I mean the 18-wheelers come out. We have motorcycles, we have race cars. You know, the race cars, we set up a little mini track and they can give kids rides in their race cars. Everyone is so interested in working with the public and showing everybody what it is that these vehicles actually can do. The date is at Roanoke County's Green Hill Park, the last Saturday in July, which this year is July 25th, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., and this is our 7th annual event.
Welcome back to Roanoke County Today. My name is Brian Klingenpeel, and I'm the Public Education Specialist with Roanoke County Fire and Rescue. And with me today is Captain Charlie Rucker, who is one of the leaders of our Wildland Fire Team here in Roanoke County. And today we're talking about the Fort Mason community in Roanoke County, which is in the process of achieving their Firewise community status. They are the second neighborhood in Roanoke County to do this. The first was Laurel Woods in the Masons Cove area of Roanoke County, and they did that last year. Charlie, can you tell me a little bit in general about what Firewise is?
Sure. Firewise is an initiative set forth by the NFPA and the U.S. Forest Service to encourage communities to come together and prevent wildland fire.
Okay, and can you tell me specifically what Fort Mason has done to achieve that?
Well, these folks work pretty hard. They, first of all, they decided that, hey, we do have a problem, let's all get together and see what we can do to fix it. And they did that through their homeowners association. The second thing they did was organize a community work day, which then allowed people to clean up around areas of their community, homes, etc. And then they realized that there was some water issues specific to this area that they then applied for some grants through the Department of Forestry. And hopefully once that happens, they should reach their Firewise status.
Okay, so they cleaned up some leaves. I know they had a big part of that, and brush and things. And as a part of this grant, they'll be receiving some water tanks. Can you tell us a little bit about how those help us and help the neighborhood as well?
Well, yes, this particular area with their water issue, just from where the geographically where they are, is makes it difficult for us to fight fire here, being that their water is a farther location. So what we did is put some vaults in the ground that hold about 2,000 gallons, which should help us mitigate most anything that goes on up here.
Okay, and they can use that water then in the event of a fire?
Yes, sir.
To help protect homes and just to put out the wildland fire itself?
Absolutely.
Okay, can you tell us some things just in general that anybody could do as a citizen in Roanoke County to help protect themselves against wildland fires?
Sure. Basically, clean up around your house. Your gutters, make sure they're cleaned out. Any tall vegetation or anything around your home, try to keep that at least mowed. Oily plants, things like that, maybe try to not plant them next to the house. Access to your inside your driveways and things like that. Make sure that we've got a lot of large vehicles. Make sure that we're able to get them up there. Pretty much just cut back away from the road. If you want more information on that, firewise.org. A lot of good material, very helpful stuff. Any of the fire stations around the county, if you've got questions, we're more than happy to answer those also.
Okay, and I know one thing we also talk about a good bit in Roanoke County with a lot of our homes being in rural areas is just emergency crews being able to find you in the event of an emergency. Can you talk a little bit about how homeowners could maybe mark their houses so that we can find them better in an emergency?
One of the things that they did in the Laurel Woods community is one of their big focuses was making sure that all of the homes were labeled the same, like a common theme. And that's what we're kind of looking for in these areas. Not so much that all of them have to look exactly the same, but the identifier be placed in kind of a central location at the end of the driveway if you live off the driveway, visible on the mailbox, things like that.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Charlie. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Roanoke County Today will be right back.
Welcome back to the show. Joining me today is Roanoke County Police Chief Howard Hall. Welcome to the show, Chief.
Hi, Amy. How are you?
Great. Good to see you.
You too.
We have some exciting things happening in the police department, and first thing is 25th anniversary of the department.
July 1st.
July 1st, that's coming up. Explain to us how the police department began.
Well, I wasn't here 25 years ago,
Right.
But in, I guess, 1989, there was a referendum in Roanoke County about creating a police department, which passed. And as a result of that, July 1st of 1990, the Roanoke County Police Department was formed.
Okay. And so now explain what is the role of the police department and then the sheriff's office.
Okay, we do, of course, still have a sheriff. The Roanoke County Police Department is primarily responsible for law enforcement in the county. So our officers are responding to calls for 911, investigating crime, investigating traffic crashes, conducting traffic enforcement, handling criminal investigations, ultimately arresting people or seeking charges or taking appropriate action based on all that. The sheriff's office is responsible for running the Roanoke County Jail, providing security at our courthouse, and serving a civil process through the county. And I think it's important to note that we have a very, very strong working relationship with the sheriff's office, and fulfill our missions jointly, all with the intent of keeping people in Roanoke County safe.
Sure. There has to be a lot of collaboration there still.
Right, absolutely.
Sure. And how many employees and civilians are employed here at the department?
We have a total of 156 employees. 140 of those are sworn police officers, and that includes me all the way down the rank structure, and we have 16 civilian staff.
Okay, so this is a fairly good-sized department.
It actually is. If you look kind of nationally at the size of police departments, we're above the 90th percentile in terms of size. Many people don't realize that the vast majority of police departments in the United States have 20 or less police officers. So, while we're not Philadelphia or Chicago or a place like that, we are a pretty good-sized police agency.
Okay. And I'm not sure that people are always aware of the different divisions within the police department. It's not just police officers who are out patrolling the streets.
Right.
There are many other divisions that are occurring, sometimes behind the scenes. What are some of those
Well, we actually
areas?
have two main divisions. Operations, of course, is what people see for the most part. Our uniform patrol officers, our SROs in our schools, our traffic officers, our bike patrol officers, occasionally our SWAT team. We also have detectives, maybe not seen as much because they don't usually wear uniforms, but they're the folks that are following up on crimes that have been reported to us or discovered by us, as well as our regional drug unit. You really don't see them very much.
Sure.
But we also have, and I forgot to mention animal control. And many police departments don't have that function. We do house the animal control function for Roanoke County, and our animal control officers are fully sworn and trained police officers.
Okay.
So they can do the same things that any of our other police officers can do. The administrative side, is the part that the public doesn't see nearly as much.
Sure.
We have to deal with personnel issues, hiring, recruiting. We have to manage our budget. We have to equip our officers with uniforms and equipment and cars and everything that goes with that. Most of our civilian employees work in the records unit, and we have a training academy. We are fortunate to have our own academy. We don't rely on someplace else to do our training, and we've got to staff and manage that on an ongoing basis. So it's not just about the recruit training that a new officer gets. All of our officers have to have continuing training throughout their careers to maintain their certifications as law enforcement officers.
Now, you mentioned you haven't been here for 25 years.
No, I haven't.
It's been about 3 years?
Yep, going on 3 years.
Okay. What are some of the accomplishments that you've seen. I know just a number of them that I'm going to mention. DDAX, explain what that program is, what it stands for first, and then what's involved in that.
DDAX stands for Data-Driven Approaches to Crime and Traffic Safety. Okay. It's a model that we use to deploy our operational resources, those uniformed folks, particularly that people see in the field, to the areas where they're needed the most. And one of the initiatives that we've undertaken in the past couple of years has been to become more data-driven in how we use the limited resources that we have. So we have a crime analyst on staff who is constantly monitoring calls for service and crime in the county. Based on that, she provides information to our units in the field, about what they should be looking for, who might be involved, the times, the dates, things that are occurring. DDAX is a model that we use to identify areas that have overlapping issues with criminal incidents and traffic crashes. Okay. There's a distinct relationship between those two things that we can use to help us be more efficient with the resources that we have. Okay. So we've been targeting some areas around the county for the last couple of years, and we've seen some positive results in terms of reductions in some of the key crimes and traffic crashes that we've been looking at.
And one example I know that I've heard of recently, the crime analyst you mentioned, she actually was able to help solve a string of burglaries at various gyms around the area.
Right, car break-in. Yeah, and that's a good story in using analysis as well as technology. We had a pattern of crime where people's cars were being broken into at gyms and athletic clubs, including the Greenridge Center, which is run by the county, occurring either late in the evening or early in the morning when it's dark. Targeting cars at the gym because people tend to leave their valuables in the car when they go in there. The Greenridge Center had installed some surveillance cameras. And one morning, this individual committed some crimes in that parking lot, and that camera captured a picture of what we thought was the suspect vehicle leaving. At the same time, our crime analyst had been looking at this series of incidents and had identified a pattern of the timing of how this suspect was committing these crimes. And she recognized that there were often 2 days in a row that it was occurring. And she put that information along with a picture of this vehicle that we thought was involved out to our uniformed personnel. That night, one of our officers was patrolling one of those parking lots and saw that vehicle and was able to apprehend that suspect, who we believe is involved in similar crimes practically up and down the East Coast.
Wow.
Multi-states.
Also, there's a program called HIDA. Explain what that stands for and then a little bit about it.
At the end of 2013, the Roanoke Valley was accepted into the High Intensity Drug Trafficking Areas Program, which is run out of the Office of National Drug Control Policy. It provides some support both in technology and financially to regional efforts in drug enforcement. And it was very timely for us. Myself and the other chiefs in the valley had been discussing how we could better utilize the limited resources we have in terms of drug and vice investigations. And HIDA gave us really the mechanism that resulted in the Roanoke Valley Regional Drug Unit being created. And that unit is a combination of the detectives from our agency, Roanoke City, Salem, Benton, the Virginia State Police, as well as the DEA and some other federal partners that have all come together, and we jointly handle drug investigations throughout the valley as opposed to each individual agency handling that. That ramped up in the spring of 2014 and in the first year, frankly, exceeded the expectations that we had in terms of the cases that they developed and the amount of drugs that were seized.
Another thing that we see, maybe the public sees a little more often, is community policing efforts and crime prevention.
Right.
Talk about that program.
Well, we have a dedicated crime prevention officer, and one of his missions, and he's been very effective at it, is trying to maintain neighborhood watch organizations and act as a liaison with other community groups. You know, we have a number of civic leagues around the county. We also have a number of business associations and groups around the county. When people hear community policing, they almost always associate that with a residential community. And that's a very important part of what we do. But the business community is also a critical part, you know, of the Roanoke Valley.
Sure.
They're part of our community, and what they do, you know, really drives the economy. And you know, they need safe communities for their employees to work. They need safe communities for you know, people to live that work for them. So you know, we're trying to focus on that in two different ways, and we've seen a lot more activity in terms of the number of neighborhood watch groups and in terms of the number of business associations that are working with the police department on a variety of issues, from, you know, something as seemingly simple as a neighborhood speeding complaint that we can go out to address, you know, all the way up to working with businesses on having emergency plans in place, you know, if a critical incident could occur.
Also, regionalism. I think you mentioned that earlier.
Right.
How does the county work with its regional partners, some of the things they work on?
We try to do as much as we can together. The reality is that you know, the Roanoke Valley, you know, kind of in its smallest form, you know, includes the county of Roanoke, the city of Roanoke, the city of Salem, the town of Benton. And there's, you know, a variety of other law enforcement agencies that operate in that same environment. And the borders of those four jurisdictions, you know, are very jagged. For the most part, the criminal doesn't pay attention to whether in the city or the county or any place else. And, you know, if we silo ourselves to those jurisdictions, we're not going to be nearly as effective as when we're working together. You know, we have extremely strong, close working relationships with other law enforcement in the Valley, and I think that benefits everyone because we communicate, because we share resources, you know, and, you know, when necessary, respond together. It's been a couple years ago now that each of the legislative bodies for those four jurisdictions passed an extraterritorial arrest agreement, which gives essentially any police officer within the boundaries of Roanoke County, because the other three jurisdictions are within our boundaries, the authority to take action if they see something during the course of their duties. Which makes sense, because again, if a citizen sees a police officer and sees something bad happen, their expectation is that police officer is going to do something about it. And until we had that legislatively passed, in some cases we really couldn't. You know, now we can do that, and it enables us to share resources on a more frequent basis when things are occurring.
Right, so no boundaries. So on July 1st, will there be a celebration of sorts?
Yes. You know, we feel like it's important to acknowledge 25 years as a police department and all of the work and the positive things that have occurred over that 25 years. So that evening from 6 to 9, we're going to have an event here at the Public Safety Center that's open to the public, that, you know, we're encouraging people to come by, visit with us. We're going to have representatives not only from the Roanoke County Police Department, but some of the other police departments in the Valley, the Fire and Rescue Department, the Emergency Communications Center, the Sheriff's Office, you know, crime prevention information, traffic safety information available. We're going to have some food and beverage out there, you know, and, you know, give all of us together the opportunity to, you know, mark this milestone in the history of our police department.
Great, good. Well, we look forward to that. Thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
And congratulations on this anniversary.
Thank you.